Hello everyone, my name is Betsy, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to create drawings like these using your iPad. Now this video was requested by a few of my followers over on Instagram, so if you don't have an iPad, please don't feel like you have to get one in order to do this. You can always create these drawings with old-fashioned pen and paper. Now this is a tutorial for absolute beginners, so I'm going to be showing you everything right from the very beginning. So let's get started. There are many apps out there that you can use to do this, but in this video I'm going to be showing you how to use an app called Sketchbook. When you go looking for it in the App Store, you're going to get all these results, but the one that we are going to select is the one that's up here at the top with the icon of a pencil with an orange background. So once the app downloads and you have it on your home screen, go ahead and tap on it so that we can get started. So the very first thing that I want to show you is how to start a blank canvas. When you're here in the gallery page, you're going to tap the plus button, select a new sketch, and here you can flip the image over, selecting this image to portrait or landscape. You can also change the dimensions of the canvas, and then you just hit create and you have a brand new canvas to work on. Once you're here, keep in mind that you can always use 2 fingers to zoom in and out of your canvas. So next up, we're going to be taking a look at our toolboxes. So on the left hand side, you're going to find a toolbox with some easy to reach pens and brushes and erasers. And up above, you're going to be able to use things like the paint bucket or an image selector. And on the right hand side, you have your layers. You also have this tab here that allows you to select more tools, and it also allows you to select new colors. You get an entire color wheel here where you can change both the hue and the intensity of the color. So here you can see you have 2 tabs that you can move around, so you can really get just the right color. Because we're just going to be doodling today, I'm just going to select black to get started. Once you select a tool on the left hand side, notice that you can use this button here to make it larger or smaller. Go ahead and test them out to see which thickness works for you. You'll also notice that as you select different tools, they each have just a slightly different quality, and it may take some time for you to decide which ones you like the best. When you're ready to erase some of those lines, there are several erasers in the toolbox. You can change the size of them and practice erasing. Of the 2 erasers, one is softer. Or if you don't want to erase that way, you can always use the undo button and undo any of the work that you've done, and it removes it one step at a time. So now we're going to start a new drawing. So on this brand new canvas, I'm going to select a pen. This one looks good. I'm going to change the size of it. And once I'm happy with that, I'm just going to practice drawing a few simple lines. If you're fairly new to using an Apple pen or another kind of digital pen with your iPad, you'll find that making these lines might be a little difficult. I might recommend getting a special paper-like cover for your screen to help you draw a little better. I found that it helps me. Otherwise, with the smoothness of the glass, it makes it difficult to draw really nice lines. They get a little wobbly. This is actually one of the reasons why I don't always use my iPad to draw, but rather I use it sometimes just to edit my drawings. So here you see I'm just adding a few more lines, just doodling them in. But before I move on, what I'd like to do is fill a few areas with some color. So I'm going to go to that toolbox up at the top, and I'm going to select this bucket here. And notice there are 3 options under it. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to choose just the first one for a simple fill. I'm going to go select a color. This pink one is nice, and I'll just tap around in some areas to fill them in with this light pink color. So this is really just to get me started, and that way once this area is filled with the pink, I can also try a few other things. So if I select that bucket again and I choose that second option, that's now highlighted in blue. I can fill an area and then I can tweak it just a little bit. You'll notice that it gives me a gradient inside of that zone. So this is a fun one to try if you have a little time. So now I'm going to show you how to do some layers. Now when you're using the layers, they're over here on the right hand side. And I want you to notice that when you hit that plus button, you get an extra little box. That's an additional layer. So now we have 2 of them. We're going to be using that very soon, so keep in mind these are transparent layers, and they are actually very helpful when you are creating these drawings. Make sure that we are on the bottom one. You'll notice that you can tap that little eyeball and it makes everything disappear. And you can also change the opacity of the layer by sliding it here. It gets clearer and more opaque depending on how you change the slider. So now, making sure that I'm in that bottom layer, I'm going to go and switch to black again and use my pen that I used before. And it's a little thick, so I think I'm going to just change the size a tiny bit and just fill in with some doodles. These are just some contour lines to help me create some interest inside of these regions. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use that additional layer that I created right here. I'm going to tap on it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select a new tool. You can do it up here. And I'm going to find a tool that looks like a spray can, which is down here. So I'll choose that spray can, and I still have black selected. And then I'm going to tweak it so that the opacity of it is fairly low. And then I'm also going to use the top tab to change it so it isn't too big. I want it to be just the right size so that I can do some shading along my shapes. So about this size is good. I'm going to select that first shape and I'm going to go in and do some shading. Okay, so that looks pretty good. You may need to get some practice doing this. So here I'm shading the next area. And there it is. So make sure you get plenty of practice doing this. Notice I'm in this layer here. If I select it, I can change the opacity so it's darker or lighter. I can always tap it and that bar closes. So now I'm going to click on that bottom one, or I'm going to rather tap on it, because I'm going to go back to doodling. So one of the things when you're using these layers is it can be quite difficult if you don't remember which layer you are on. So make sure that you're keeping those layers separate and that you know which one you're on. Right now, because I'm doing line work, I'm doodling, I'm choosing to do all of this on that very first layer. So for me, this is my bottom layer. So here I am, I'm doing line work in a kind of a maroon color. Instead of the black, I just wanted to see how it would look. So I'm on the bottom layer. Okay, so that's done. Now I'm going to switch back to that second layer to do some shading. So I'm going to get that spray can, make sure I'm still using black, and I go through and do some shading. And you're welcome to turn things around in case it's a little easier that way. Depending on what kind of curves or shapes you're working with, you can turn things around, that's fine. Go in and add shading. At any point, you can erase, you can backtrack, do whatever you need to until you're comfortable with this. And now we're going to start adding some highlights. Now, in order to do this, you're going to use those layers again. So I'm going to tap on the lower layer, and then I'm going to go up to the top and tap that plus button. Notice now I have a layer in between. I'm going to tap on it, and right here where it says blending, I'm going to select that. It gives me this list of options, and I'm going to scroll approximately halfway down, and I'm going to select the option called Glow. You'll notice that now the box says Glow. And now while I'm here, I'm going to go back and switch to a white color. I'm still using the spray can. Now if you don't remember where to find the spray can, you can find it up here, or you can find it on the left-hand side if you have this toolbox filled with these same tools. Here you're going to change the opacity, and then you're also going to change the size to suit the drawing that you have. So this may take you just a moment to tweak it, and then try drawing in your shapes anywhere where you want some white highlights. Now this is going to be like the shine that you see on a bubble. So now that I've done the highlights, I'm going to go back to doing some more doodling. So I want to make sure I switch back to that bottom layer, switch back to the color black, and also switch to a different tool. So in my case, it's a pen. I'm going to add in some more of these contour lines here. Now this is sped up a little bit to save you some time. So for you, this is going to be a great opportunity to test out some shapes and some line work that suit your aesthetics. Try to practice some of your favorite lines. If you do Zentangle, this is a great time to do that. Or just try doing other type of line work that really appeals to you. Right now, this is just the time to get some practice in. If this is your very first drawing, try not to worry too much about the outcome. You're just practicing right now. Just getting the basics in about using layers, creating some highlights, and adding in some shading. So here I'm just about done adding in these contours. And I've decided to move on to a different layer so that I can do something else. So in order to do that, I'm going to switch over to that third layer where I'm doing my shadows. And when I do that, I'm going to make sure that I have my spray can and that I've got the color black so I can continue filling in those shadows. So here I'm just working my way up that form right there, kind of going along the edge. So once I'm done doing that, I'm going to go over to my layers and I'm going to go to the middle layer, the glow layer, switch to white, and I'm going to add some highlights in that shape after I adjust my spray can. So gently I'm adding that color in. Notice it makes it look like it's glowing right there. There are many uses for this tool, but right here we're really just using it to create some highlights on our shapes. So now that I'm this far, I believe I'm just going to go back over here and I'm just going to start working on some more doodles. So I'm going to make sure I switch over to my bottom layer. So that's the one that has the purple on it. This one right here. I'm going to switch back to black, find my pen, and adjust the size of it. And I'm just going to start doodling in this area here. Now I'm going to take this opportunity while I create these doodles to tell you a little bit more about the practice of using your iPad. So first of all, there are many things that you can do with your iPad, of course. This isn't the only thing. You can work on a single layer if you like. But what I'm showing you here using these layers is to help you use a few more tools and to help you move your projects along just a little quicker. There are many people who work on a single layer and create amazing, beautiful paintings, and you can do that too if you like. But for this, we're making doodles. We're trying to use our time more effectively to get the shading done, to get the highlights done, and I found that for me, this is what helps me get things done a little faster and with less frustration, and it helps create some pretty reliable results. So you see here I'm just going along my shapes and I'm adding some more of these little doodles. And I've selected this sort of purple color. And I'm just going to show you some examples of a few other things that I've created recently. So here are some flowers. You can also create some pretty complicated drawings, of course. This is all line work. Or even more complicated if you like. And so here I'm just going to show you the end. These are the layers, what they look like when they're each turned on and off. And of course, when you're all done and you're ready to save your image, you can press this tab and you are going to select Gallery. And you can say Save to Gallery and it'll be all saved. So here is the final result. Please let me know if you have any questions, and thank you so much for watching.